Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani here. Welcome back to this YouTube channel where I attempt, at least, to take on as much as I can about narcissism, narcissistic relationships, and toxic people. So today, I'm going to lay out an interesting, I think, amazing life hack kind of issue, which is how do you not let the narcissist in the first place, right? That's the big issue because I do a lot of cleaning up with folks, people who are married to narcissistic people, family members, toxic bosses, you name it. They're already in, right? That's a very different story. What if you didn't let him in the first place? Not always possible. Your mom and your dad, you didn't have much say about that, but a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, workplace situation, friend. What if you didn't let him in the first place? Think of all the aggravation you would have saved. So let's then talk about 11 ways to not let narcissists in the first place. But before I get to that, you guys are honestly smarter than me at a lot of this because you've survived some really tough spaces. If you come up with more ideas, listen, 11, I'm coming up with 11 ways. You can drop reasons 12, 13, 14, and 20. Drop them in the comments. And that means subscribe to this channel, become a part of this community because honestly, I get the platform and the voice, but this is only as good as the suggestions that you guys also bring too. So please throw it in there. I really, really value your opinions. So let's talk about this. 11 ways to not let narcissists in the first place. This video could actually kind of save your mental health. This is a video about gatekeeping. Many of you found this YouTube channel because you are married to or in a relationship of some kind with a narcissist. That kind of close, intimate relationship, narcissistic situation can really sting because the fact is, you are the person who let this person in most cases, unless it was an arranged relationship. Many more of you who watch this channel have families of origin who are riddled with narcissists. Now, if you voluntarily chose one, you may find yourself kicking yourself. Please don't. Please don't kick yourself. All of us, present company included, have made these mistakes. It's just simply part of the process. We learn from it. But here's the key. As you know, narcissistic abuse recovery is an issue I care deeply about, but gatekeeping matters to me just as much. I don't want you as a survivor. I don't want this to happen to you again. Narcissistic relationships, if you don't understand them, beget more narcissistic relationships until you get enough information and can finally end the cycle. So here are some ways, 11 ways to be a better gatekeeper. Number one, you gotta stop with the second chances. I know you're sitting there thinking, she's very cold and intolerant. I don't mean it in that spirit, okay? It's not the first second chance you give someone that I'm concerned with. It's when you're excusing their behavior and giving them a so-called second chance for the 50th time, the 100th time. The first time someone new in your life gets it wrong, address it right then and there. If they get overly defensive or overly gaslighty, call it a day. It's so much easier with these relationships to cut your losses early on. Second chances turn into habits, turn into enabling. Just as with a child, we shape behavior young. The same thing happens in a relationship. You need to set the code of expectations early. And if very basic expectations, asking someone to sort of basically be on time, be respectful, tell the truth, respect you, listen to when you speak. If those things can't be honored, you're in trouble. Stop giving all those second chances. Number two, catch yourself when you make rationalizations for their behavior. Now, this is an extension of the first recommendation. Rationalizations tend to be a part of the bigger system of second chances. It's sort of the gateway to the second chance when you make an excuse, rationalization, and attempt to explain away, make excuses, justify, and enable their behavior. So it's all that bigger system. It may be innocent to start. Ah, gosh, they're having a stressful day, or we're just getting to know each other. Maybe they don't even understand what they're doing bothers me, even though you've told them it bothers you. Or maybe it's me. Maybe I just need to be more clear. Rationalizations are often why the gates in a relationship stay open too long and allow a narcissist to get in too deep. Anyone can justify anything if they want. And if you want to stick into this relationship for your own, maybe dysfunctional reasons, your fear of being alone, you're being tired of being single, being alone in a new city, whatever your reasons is, it's easy to try to force a relationship to fit, even when it's not good for you. Watch those rationalizations. Number 3, do your own deep dive. In my ideal universe, which I don't live in, but if I had one, every person would complete a course of therapy before they turned 25 years of age. Other than the few folks out there that had picture perfect childhoods, the rest of us need someone to look under the hood and give us a tune up and help us kind of do that deep dive. We need to do these deep dives. And when you're young, you feel invincible and you're arrogant and you believe that you can master your own story. It's so easy to back right into repeating our own narcissistic legacy stories over and over again. I'm amazed at how many clients I have worked with who are 50, 60, almost 70 years old, who have spent decades in narcissistic relationships, and only in our therapy together did they begin to realize that their parent or parents were horribly narcissistic. Do a deep dive so you learn your vulnerabilities and your blind spots. Did you have a narcissistic parent? Did you come from a triangulated family system? Did you have a codependent parent? Did you have a family role that made you vulnerable to be a rescuer or a fixer? I gotta tell you, I am always so happy when I get that rare opportunity to work with younger clients who are trying to get their backstories figured out before they make a long-term commitment to someone, get engaged, get married, whatever. And in my work with those younger clients, we really take the time to sort out those blind spots so they can make a good choice for themselves. So do that deep dive. Self-knowledge is always a worthwhile endeavor, especially if by understanding yourself, you might be able to see those blind spots and save you the world of hurt that is narcissistic abuse. Number 4, trust your damned gut. Trust your gut. The grand irony here is that I once wrote a book on weight loss. It's been a while. It's a book called You Are Why You Eat. Now, the short takeaway on the book is that simply I'm telling people to trust your gut. If we all stopped eating when we were full, we'd probably be able to better manage our weight. Ironically, Mama here has gained about 50 pounds since I wrote that book, so much for trusting my gut. I'm owning it. It's been a tough few years, what can I say? But in all seriousness, while I am aware of, for example, the work of the great Dr. Daniel Kahneman, his Nobel Prize winning work on decision making and the danger of gut-driven decision making, I have to say, though, when it comes to your thinking about people, especially in relationships, please do trust those hairs that stand up on the back of your neck. While I recognize and understand that hindsight is wisdom in 2020, most people who have been through narcissistic relationships, whether those relationships last 3 months or 30 years, will say that sometime, at some point in the first month, their gut told them, this doesn't feel right. But then they fell back into the usual rationalizations and second chances and justifications to make it work, and then they got stuck. Remember, we store our traumatic memories somatically in our bodies. So those early narcissistic relationships, like with parents, and the hurts and injuries they generated on us are more likely to trigger physiological reactions, gut reactions, which are primitive and worth heeding. These physiological reactions are often more honest than those rationalizing voices that can end up enabling the narcissist and getting you stuck. Number 5, don't confuse love and abuse. In other words, pay attention to the trauma bond. That almighty trauma bond. Those of you who've been to this rodeo of the narcissistic relationship once before know it too well. Some of this relates to the point about doing your own personal deep dive, but pay attention to the degree to which you equate love and instability, love and chaos, love and abuse, love and invalidation, and love and your narratives and the things you tell yourself about how you're worthless and not enough. Those bonds have got to get broken. Again, go back to that earlier point. Do that deep dive and watch yourself when you keep getting hoovered into something that is hurting you and you keep labeling it love. Number 6, you aren't 6, and life isn't a Disney movie. Please beware of the love bomb. Somewhere between Cinderella and Instagram, people get lost in a vortex of fairy tale love stories. They want the dream, the magic, the love story, the wedding. They want everything short of the 7 dwarves to be along for the damn ride. Remember that love bombing is the narcissist's ground game. Yes, a whirlwind courtship seems fun and eminently, it's so social media shareable. Look at us, we're in Hawaii. Look at all these flowers that were sent to me. Hold out for something that has better fundamentals. A less of a steep ramp up, less grandiose gestures, less bells and whistles. Why? Because I want you to be able to pay attention and not get distracted by the fluff and the drama. Number 7, be very careful about using words like magical connection or soulmate. When you use those words, sit up and be very careful and pay attention. I know you're thinking, wow, this Dr. Ramani is really cynical. Maybe, but I think not really. That idea of something being so magical and no one has ever understood me like this, and this is my soulmate, and we have a deep otherworldly connection may reflect a deeper need you have to be seen and heard and understood in that all-encompassing, almost emulating way that is a signature move of the narcissist. And the challenge is that this so-called magical connection is actually can be a rationalization, and it can blind you to some very visible red flags and lead to lots of, again, rationalizations and excuses to keep the so-called magical connection. Relationships with narcissists can be like magic shows where you look here to distract you from where the illusion is really happening over here. Listen, I love love. I think love's great. But the entire metaphysical, magical love story idea can often get people looped into toxic love stories really quickly. Catch yourself when you use that word soulmate. Number 8, if this relationship moves too fast, it may be risky. Narcissists are the masters of the fast track relationship. In many, though not all, definitely not all cases, these relationships move fast, fast, fast. You move in too fast. You meet families too fast. You take a big vacation too fast. You backpack across the world too fast. You get engaged too fast. You get married too fast. You have children fast, fast, fast. You may be wondering what's too fast. I mean, obviously, moving in together on the second date, that probably qualifies too fast. Now, I know every one of you who has at least one story of people who moved in together after 1 week or got married after the first date and they had happily ever after. For every one of your stories, I can promise we can come up with thousands of narcissistic relationship stories that started with something that was too fast. The quicker the narcissist can get you on the hook, the quicker the devaluation and discard cycle will start. But then you're in too deep when it moves too fast, too quick. And the usual tricks of rationalizations and second chances will kick in because you get too deep, and now you got to make it make sense in your head. Many times, people are afraid to say something about a relationship feeling like it's moving too fast, in case they lose that person. Like if I tell them it's moving too fast, they may want to end it. If a person can't hear you on the pacing of the relationship, then you're going to have bigger issues down the road when you try to talk about important stuff. Now, are there hard and fast rules about how long things are supposed to take? Obviously not. I mean, it's not like there's 6 weeks, 6 months. But if it feels like it's moving too quickly for you, then it's too quick. Say something. And if you get pushback, then this may be a problem. Also, moving too fast is a problem, is a pattern sometimes observed in relationships characterized by coercive control. The sooner they have you locked in, the more they can control you. Part of the sort of move too fast paradigm is the constant need for contact, 24/7 texting and FaceTiming and all this stuff. Good morning, princess, text. How's your day, princess, text. What you doing, beautiful, text. Where are you? I'd love to see you, text. Take a picture of where you are. I'd love to see it, text. Good night, babe, text. That all sounds kind of lovely, huh? But watch what happens when you can't respond. For example, you might have a job where you can't be texting all the time or other kinds of life responsibilities. And honestly, it's not healthy to spend your entire day texting. Then when you can't respond, you start getting irritable texts. Hello, responses, I should say. Where are you? Why aren't you responding? Who are you with? 10 phone calls in a row. Then they get so sad because you get frustrated. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I just miss you so much. This is your cue to get out. Because if they miss you so much, they can miss you forever. Because this isn't a red flag. This is an emergency alert. It's dangerous by now. Interestingly, there's a corollary to all of this. Some people have said that relationships with their narcissists actually moved too slowly, that they couldn't even get the narcissist to respond to a text. This is a little bit different, I should say, a little different. And it feels like a game of cat and mouse. Certainly, the hard to get paradigm is a big part of some narcissistic relationships. They're so arrogant, they think you're lucky to be with them. And this carries risks too, because now you may be focused on the chase and miss the red flags. You might be so relieved after 2 days of not responding, they respond. And then you start to excuse the major issues. Boom. That's the kind of stuff that comes back to bite you. Number 9, turn off the gaslight the first time it gets turned on. When you are gaslighted, you're being emotionally abused. It's pretty much that simple. The first time someone questions your sanity, your reality, your feelings, honestly, I think your best play is to politely say goodbye. But if you don't want to take such a cut and run approach, then what is critically important is that you hold on to your reality and communicate it. If your reality and understanding of your reality is met with more gaslighting, then now you know this is a gaslighting relationship. Gaslighting is one of those patterns that is all but impossible to change, and it will destabilize you for years to come if you stay. Once the gaslight is turned on, respectfully reach in and turn it off. And if the person won't let you turn it off, then you can turn it off permanently by leaving. Number 10, pay attention to the almighty future fake. I have a video on future faking, but the future fake is a classical love bombing tool. Someday we're going to do this, and one day this is going to happen, and down the road this and that's going to happen. It can suck you in, and especially if the narcissist has a good handle on what your dreams are, they will cleverly knit your dreams into the conversation. But there's lots of someday, and all of that someday promising happens as they're dropping the ball left and right in the current day. And just as you may be getting courageous about saying, this isn't working for me, this doesn't seem healthy, and maybe step away from a narcissistic relationship during the early weeks, that's when they'll really sweep in with the future fake. Oh gosh, I was already shopping for rings, and I saw this amazing house I was going to put an offer on, and I really wanted to support you. Gosh, I'm going to pay your tuition. I know you dreamed of becoming a nurse or dreamed of becoming a whatever, and I want to be the one who's going to help you with that. Beware of gift horses and future promises is all I can tell you. you may end up waiting a lifetime. And you could have gotten it right in the early months and saw none of this is going to happen. Number 11, be careful about making overly big sacrifices early in the relationship. Moving across the world after 3 months into a relationship is often not an optimal bet. If the fundamentals of your relationship aren't there, you're being gaslighted and disrespected, giving up your familiar touchstones, or perhaps giving up other very important things like your education or your career is very risky. Many people get sort of swept up in the soulmate, trauma bond, future faked, love bomb mess that is a narcissistic relationship. And this whole idea of the YOLO mindset, you only live once, they throw themselves headlong into some grand adventure, right? And it does feel like a grand adventure to move far away. If you decide to do that, I suggest you leave half your stuff back at your original address. It may be a fun adventure, but if you leave everything behind, you might get sucked into something you feel like you can't get out of. There's a major risk if you move far away or make some other major transition that you could, for example, get isolated from friends and family and lose support you need because everything's so far away. That's when the real damage can happen. And this damage can be augmented. For example, if you go someplace where you don't speak the language or know the customs, or you can even get a job. But it doesn't have to be a sacrifice in the form of moving across the country or the globe. It can be other changes you make, like leaving a really good job because a new partner says, oh, come on, I'll cover your bills. Or dropping out of school, or doing anything that takes away things that are important to you, give you a more solid toehold in the future, and substantiate your life. These are risky things to do early on. And the ask to give up important things to you, or the coy passive nudge that the narcissist will manipulatively do, oh, you don't have to give all that up for me, followed up with, wow, you really do love me. Thanks for doing this for me. This is amazing. This can set the tone in your relationship that your massive sacrifice is what made this a love story, and you can easily see how someone who is more of an empath or a rescuer can really get swept away in that self-sacrificial thing. The tells are there from the beginning, and you can be a better gatekeeper. If your basic asks are not heard in the early days of a relationship, you can all but guarantee they will never get heard. The early months are as good as it's going to get. Be bold early on in your relationship. If you are rejected for being authentic and for asking for basic things, could we just slow down? I'm enjoying you, but could we slow down? Or I want to just get my degree done and get those things in order. Then consider getting out. If your instincts are buzzing, listen to them. Fear, guilt, hope, and lack of information are the things that get people stuck in narcissistic relationships. They can also be the thing that sucks you in the first place. Now you have the playbook. Use it. Only the worthy should be allowed to enter your heart and your life. These 11 gatekeeping tips are very individual. You know what? I'm going to give you a little Easter egg, because as I was sitting here literally making this, I just came up with a number 12, okay? Number 12, gatekeeping issue, is be very careful when you listen to other people in the early days of your relationship. And I'll tell you why. So many times, especially if you're in a love-bomby, fairy tale-y, moving fast, exciting relationship, it'll be the other people who say, oh, you're so lucky, and wow, gosh, I wish my person did this for me, and I wish somebody always texted me. My person barely texts me once a day, or gosh, you've always been a bit of a commitment phobe, and now someone's paying attention to you, and you're saying your instincts are flying. I don't know if you really want this. And then they'll enable it. And, come on, what is this gaslighting you're talking about? People make mistakes. Give them a second chance. It's the voices of other people that are often not only what drive second chances and rationalizations, but can fill you with self-doubt. And that tiny seed of self-doubt in the beginning of the relationship can be what grows into the mighty tree that becomes what gets you stuck in this narcissistic relationship. Be very, very careful when you listen to the voices of others. They may even be well intentioned, but they also may not understand narcissistic relationships. And it may very well be that you skate into this relationship because other people tell you how great this person is, or how great this experience is, or how lucky you are, or don't be so arrogant. What do you think? People like this come around all the time. And you may deny what you know to be true, like, this feels uncomfortable. This person's doubting me. This person's second guessing me. These red flags are going up. So you've got to learn to trust you. That's what I mean about trusting your gut. This is about going beyond that. Just because other people think, oh, you're so lucky. You are lucky. You get to be with you. Always remember that. It's so easy to get sucked into these vortexes, or vortices, I guess they are, of what other people think is right for you. You need to be the arbiter of what works for you. Please pay attention to that. And that's not tip number 12. Actually, might be one of the most important of the bunch. Don't let other people kind of gaslight you as you're trying to get into a relationship where you're being gaslighted. It's all that confusion of, am I doing the right thing? If it feels right to you, trust it. Worst case scenario, maybe you do walk away from something that had some solid fundamentals. But more often than not, what I hear about is people sticking it in far too long in a relationship that they knew was unhealthy by the first month. So I hope this gives you some tidbits to focus on. And this isn't just for romantic relationships. This could be with a friendship. This could be in the workplace. So a lot of this, yes, it applies in romantic relationships, but think about it. Any of these things apply in any narcissistic relationship you've had. I have to say, in some of my workplace relationships, I knew in the first month something wasn't quite right, and then I stuck it out for years and saying, oh man, I saw this in the first month, and I could have gotten out before I got too invested in this particular workplace. So pay attention. The signs are always there. You just need to be willing to see them, hear them, listen to them, and not just rationalize them away. I hope this was helpful. And if you guys have more ideas for gatekeeping, will you please put them in the comment section? Because all of us will benefit. Listen, I don't know everything. It takes a community and all of us learning from each other to help each other get this right. Thanks again. Bye-bye now. Thanks again. Bye-bye now. Thanks again. Bye-bye now. Thanks again.